Parliament's Finance Cluster is giving an update on their oversight and accountability role in ensuring that the budget that's expected on Wednesday will serve the needs of all South Africans. Speaking now is Scopa Chair, that's Songezo Sibi. Take a listen.
Nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. We cannot discuss a budget while totally ignoring the fact that the government misuses money through bad policy, wastes it through maladministration, and loses it entirely through corruption. As chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, the committee and I are absolutely determined that we play our part in the Constitution's instruction that we must use public funds efficiently. And I know that everybody wants to prosecute corruption, find people who've done bad things, but there are many instances where the T's have been crossed and the I's have been dotted, but the money is being used inefficiently nonetheless. And I'll give you a couple of examples and give you some numbers as well. So let me deal with some examples. We lose billions to water losses, which means lost revenue. And that is failure to maintain our water infrastructure. And the leaks that we have, the failure to collect revenue and so on, costs the government money in the sense that Treasury has to close the gap and find additional allocations to make up what is missing. The shortfall, which averaged around 30% of total cost per cubic meter, and that was in 2018, I think it was, is unsustainable as it is too large to be covered by the equitable share grant, because the water authorities is either the water boards or district municipalities working together with the regional water authorities. Should non-revenue water be reduced to 25%, so from 30% to 25%, through repairs, maintenance, and the refurbishment of infrastructure, the 4 municipalities that were in the study in that year could realize an additional 800 million per year. Just from reducing it from 30% to 25%, 800 million per year. Extrapolating this to the roughly 25 billion in revenue collected, for instance, in 2013, 2014, it would yield additional revenue of 5 billion, just in 4 municipalities. We were dealing with a metro, I think it was Buffalo City Metro. They lose in excess of 300 million to water losses. Tshwane is over 700 million. That's money that goes to waste because of poor maintenance. So what I'm trying to say is, you don't always need somebody to steal money for there to be financial loss. And in the context of our committee, our primary responsibility is to make sure that we minimize or eliminate financial loss. And I don't think we're doing that enough. I don't think we're doing it as effectively. I don't think we're having the right conversations with the executive always. Let's talk about the government property portfolio, which costs too much in terms of rental expenses. For example, a sample in the KZN provincial government examined in 2019 showed that the KZN provincial government leased office accommodation from the private sector at just over R1 billion, and that is 2015 to 2016, 2018 to 19. Of the 146 rental leases analyzed, only 35 were within market rate. Only 35 out of 146. The rest were above market rates. Lease escalations averaged 6.3%, whereas the market showed limited growth, causing the gap between market price and actual expenditure to grow. In 2016-17, the provincial governments collectively leased 1.2 million square meters of office space at a total cost of 151 million rand per month or 1.8 billion per year. Most of the lease expenditure, about 85%, were in the major economic sectors. Now, these leases tend to be larger offices over 2,000 square meters and primarily in CBDs or main centers. Based on market benchmarks, it is estimated that about a third of monthly expenditure is on leases, the cost of which is above market norms. Most of the expenditure above markets is in CBD and main centers, and just under 90% of the expenditure is above market was in 6 provinces. Just under 80% of these leases that are potential savings were estimated to be in the range of 600 million to 1.2 billion over 3 years, if you just pay what company A, company B would pay. Now, there are reasons for this that I can talk about, because there is a premium that the government pays because you have to bring in new entrants into the space. Otherwise, you've got the same large property companies benefiting. But we must determine what that is. And according to the Treasury's information, some of the premium is up to 45% more than what the company would pay for property. If you look at Pretoria, at the dawn of democracy, I think the government owned about 70% of the government office buildings in Pretoria. It's flipped around, it's about 30%, and we are paying more. We've got to ask the question of whether the government should continue to pay that kind of money or not. I'll give you another example, which is the diplomatic corps. South Africa has the best paid diplomats in the world. I'm not kidding. I'm going to give you some numbers again. That diplomats get paid full salaries. They get paid get free housing, etc., etc. Over and above that, there is a cost of living allowance that they get. It ranges, and this is about 8 years ago, it ranged between 600,000 and 1.3 million per person. That is 60% more than what US diplomats get paid. It's 50% more than what the UN pays its own staff. Now, we've got diplomatic missions all over the world. There is no relationship between what we are earning in trade relations and the amount that we spend on our diplomatic service. But you've got countries that are richer than us, with one ambassador in South Africa servicing half of the SADC region. So there are things that we refuse in the culture of spending in the government. That means we constantly have to ask the finance minister to find more money to spend inefficiently. And when he fails to do so, then we become unhappy, but we want to continue spending the money inefficiently. And I would propose before I close that it is time that Parliament does its work, that does its job. And in the context of our committee, we cannot just look at material irregularities all the time. We also have to look at whether money is being spent efficiently, because the Constitution fundamentally says government money must be spent efficiently. And we hardly look at efficiency. Now, you don't need a Doge a la Elon Musk where you come and do things irresponsibly. But the conversation between the executive and Parliament needs to change so that we can make the savings, we take that money, we redirect it towards development and economic growth, rather than asking the minister to borrow more. I think what we're likely to see when this budget is tabled is an injunction once again to spend money efficiently. But I sit in the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, I chair it. Members keep asking what the Auditor General and the Treasury are doing to cut waste. No. There is a reason why ministers are members of the executive. It is their responsibility to make sure that government money is spent responsibly. So in closing, I want to say this event that we've had over the budget hopefully is going to force us to have the kind of conversation that a board of a country, which is what Parliament is, starts having with the EXCO, which is cabinet, and starts having with the shareholders, which is all South Africans, so that ultimately this 60 billion rand shortfall that we're trying to sort out with this postponement of the budget can come from these savings from next year. And then you can save South Africans the pain of having to pay more taxes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.